Hello and welcome back to another edition of Not Ready for Primetime Crafting. Today I want to use the Infusible Ink Pens to create a design to put on our mug blank. And the design I'm using today is kind of special to me. I received this lovely hug pillow from my sister Diane to remind me that family still cares about me even though I'm living in Idaho at the moment. And I want to recreate this design here and place it on my mug blank. The only thing I'm going to change about this is, if you notice, the plane is flying from Idaho to Pennsylvania. I am reversing that. I am flying a plane from Pennsylvania to my beloved Boise. Okay, so let's get started. The supplies we're going to need for today in order to sublimate a mug using Infusible Ink Pens will be, of course, we're going to use the Cricut today, the Mug Press, which is invaluable, some Infusible Ink Pens. Now, be careful if you're working with the Cricut Joy, make sure your Infusible Ink Pens are compatible with the Cricut Joy. When I bought the Cricut Mug Press, it came with Infusible Ink Pens as part of the package. However, those pens are not compatible with the Cricut Joy. I'm hoping to work with them using my Silhouette Cameo 4 because it has a pen adapter that essentially you could put any type of pen and draw using your Cameo 4. It's pretty powerful. So for today, this is it. This is the Cricut Joy Infusible Ink Pen set. You're also going to need scissors because we always need scissors. The substrate that we're going to draw using the Infusible Ink Pens is actually, we're going to use laser paper. Not inkjet printer paper, laser paper. You can, obviously, I got this at Staples. You can go to any office store and pick up laser paper, but just make sure when you're purchasing it that it states that it's laser paper. That's what you use with this mug press. So we're going to need, of course, a mug blank. We're going to need some heat-resistant tape. We're going to use this lovely Lint Roller, which drives me up the wall. Here, I've already cut down a slice of the laser paper to use to run through the Cricut. And because the laser paper doesn't have any backing like the infusible ink sheets that you get from Cricut, you have to kind of add backing, because what will happen is when the ink is vaporized, it has a tendency to migrate onto the mug, but some of it can migrate back into the heating element. And you don't want to get ink on the heating element, so you wrap your design with butcher paper. There's 3 sheets of butcher paper here, and what that'll do is that'll trap any wayward ink that's not going the way it's supposed to be going. The butcher paper does come with every box of infusible ink. That is what we are told. I can tell you from experience, I have 2 boxes of infusible ink that did not come with butcher paper. So I had to open a 3rd box and pull out the butcher paper and cut it down to size. We're going to need a mat because this is not matless cutting. And what I have here is, when I was setting up this project for today, I found these lovely mugs in my mug cabinet. I actually have a collection of mugs, so getting a mug press is just adding fuel to my collection. I didn't realize it at the time, because sublimation is new to me, that these mugs are sublimated. That's how these designs were put on this mug. This one, if you can see it, it says to Aunt Tanya from Danny, from my nephew Danny. And this was made for Christmas 2007. And as you can see, the colors really held up well over all those years. And this one, I love this mug. It's actually one of my favorite mugs. It is a sublimated mug. And I bought this at the Reina Sofia Museum in 2005 when I spent some time in Madrid teaching English. And I visited the Reina Sofia Museum, and if you're ever in Madrid, I highly recommend taking a visit to that museum. That is where Guernica is displayed, and there is no scanned image or photo that can do that artwork justice. You need to stand in its presence and just let the power of the work wash over you. So, my little travel tip. See, you get travel tips and creative tips here on Not Ready for Prime Time Crafting. So this mug is from 2005, and it's been used about 1 billion times and thrown in the microwave and thrown in the dishwasher multiple times, and this is how well the color has held up over the years. And since I'm now getting into this new type of creative arena of sublimation, it's opening my eyes to all the art that's been around and the technique that has been around me for several years now. So that's pretty. I mean, the colors are just ridiculously beautiful, and they've just held up so beautifully. All right, let me put these two aside. This is kind of crowded here. I have to say, I do like living in Idaho. Boise is an amazing city, and I'm really happy I took the plunge and decided to come out here. Let's jump into Design Space to see how I'm going to decorate our blank mug using the Infusible Ink Pens. Here we are in Cricut Design Space. As you can see, I've already created the design to sublimate. Let me walk you through the steps of how I got to this point. The first thing we're going to do is actually go to Cricut Access homepage. So we're going to click on the 3 bars at the top left and click on Home. And we're going to scroll down till we reach the Cricut Mug Press design area. And here you will find a plethora of pre-made designs that you can apply to your Cricut Mug blank if you're looking for something very quick to put together. However, there are times when you want to be a little bit more custom, or you want it more personal to the occasion or to whatever you're designing it for. So Cricut gives you 2 options. The first option is the mug design setup. This allows you to cut and craft infusible ink sheets however you would like to make your design. The second one is for when you're using infusible ink pens to create a design to infuse onto a mug blank. That's what we're going to use. And as you can see, this was very simple to put together. In order for me to find these graphics, all the graphics you see here, I actually found in Cricut Access Images. So very simple. You click on Images. I went to the general search and I typed in Philadelphia. And I put an operation type to make this a little bit easier of draw only, because that's what we are doing. And it came with, all right, we will do cut only. How's that? And I'll show you how we're going to manage that. So, and this is the image that I selected. This image of the Keystone State with the Philadelphia in the banner. And I did the same thing for Boise. And here's the Boise Heart. It's the outline of the state of Idaho, and Boise is right about there in the state of Idaho. So once I had the images selected, I also, and again with the plane, I did the same thing. I just went into Images, typed in plane, and found a little cute little plane that I used to for this design. You have the ability to curve the text around an object, or if it's a straight line text, you can curve it however you want. So, and that's exactly what I did. So I took that straight line of text and I applied this curve to it. And you just take the slider and you can invert the curve any way you see fit. And you can increase the angle of the curve or decrease it or change it to the opposite direction. So I just did 2 lines and I kind of made this wavy curve that shows the path of the airplane from Philadelphia to Boise. And remember, the files that I selected, they were actually cut files, and I was able to change them to a pen function. So I just I came up here, I clicked on pen, converted it to a drawing file, and then I changed the color. And if we look over to the left, you can see that every single object here is being drawn, except for this outline. This will be the cut. And this is going to cut the laser paper to a shape that will fit around our mug. So at this point, we're almost ready to go. I just have to do one thing. I have to highlight everything, and I want to attach it. And the reason I'm doing that is because I want all of this to draw, then cut on the same mat. So I'm going to go ahead and click Make It. We have to use a mat for this project. And here it is. It's all on one mat, and all the images are aligned as I see fit. The one thing I would tell you to do with this, because there's text on here, you want to mirror this image. That's very important. Don't forget that. And once the images is mirrored, it's on the mat where I want it. I'm going to click Continue. It's looking for my Joy. And I already favorited laser copy paper. If you haven't done that, it's very simple to find. You just click on Browse All Materials and scroll down till you see laser copy paper and click on it. Okay, so now it's telling me to load the Blueberry Infusible Ink Pen and then load the mat into the machine. So we're going to go ahead and do that. Okay, everybody, we are now back, and the Cricut Joy is telling us to load the Blueberry Ink Pen. Place that in there. And to place, I've loaded the laser paper onto here, and be very careful when you are placing this paper onto the mat. You really want to align it correctly, because it's going to use most of this sheet to cut out the image that's going to go around the mug. Please run. Please run. Okay, and while it is drying, I am going to use the lint roller to clean off any lint that might be on the mug. And this is really not my, I guess it's just me. There's no unawkward way of using that lint roller. You can also use a lint-free cloth, which comes with the with all your infusible ink packs or sheets. So you get a lot of stuff when you buy the infusible ink. It's a little bit more expensive, but you get the butcher paper that you need. You get the lint-free cloth that you can use to wipe down your mug or whatever item that you're sublimating. I'm always afraid to turn on the heat press too early. It gets very, very hot. And make sure when you turn the heat press on and when you're working with this, you're working in a well-ventilated area. Okay, now it's telling me to load the tangerine pen. And I've had to make a change from when we were in Cricut Design Space. I had a green color. The Cricut Joy Infusible Ink Pens are limited in color. I was thinking of the infusible ink pens that I had that were not compatible with the Joy, so I had to make a quick change in the color scheme here. But that's okay. That's what crafting's all about. Now it's, oops, telling me to load the yellow pen. It's for our plain. Go. It's telling me to load the cutting edge. There we go. And it's going to cut around the shape that we're going to wrap around the mug. But a quick tip to keep your blade clean, and I found this tip on Miss Rita's YouTube channel, is actually to take a ball of an aluminum foil, like a golf-sized ball of aluminum foil, just ball it up, and prior to using your machine, just take the blade and make like 25 punches in that ball of aluminum foil, and that will take off any kind of paper or glue or ink that has been has adhered to your blade. So it gives you a nice fresh blade. It actually preserves the blade for longer. Okay, we're going to unload. So we've cut this out. It did a real good job, and I'm going to move this here. And again, when you're removing paper, you're actually removing the mat. Ooh, see how it might, you really want to remove the mat, not the paper, because it'll create a bend. And see how much the paper that was used, it really pretty much uses pretty much all of it. So there's nothing here to save for a scrap. So I'm just going to put this aside. And for this, now, I think I'm going to turn on our mug press. And this is where we're going to use butcher paper. And it is recommended that you use butcher paper and not parchment paper for this part of the project. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to lay this out. I know I'm going to have to trim a little bit of it, hence the scissors. You always find a need for them in any project. And what I did is I cut this down. This is 4.5 by 12, which will easily fit, cover the area of what we're going to sublimate. So it's just a matter of trimming off a little excess so that it will wrap around the mug appropriately. Okay, so now you're going to take your mug and you want the handle facing you. You don't want to get any oils from your hands onto the ink itself. Okay, so I seem to have that level. Okay, so I am going to take this and, oh, I'm going to lower that design a bit. I noticed something when I was wrapping it. This was up too high, and this top portion of Idaho would not have sublimated. It was going above the top of the cup, so be really mindful of where your design is laying. Okay, I think that's okay. I'm just going to put my thumb there, put one of those pieces of tape here as a tape holder. And we'll, fingers crossed, this worked out well. This over here, and of course I have my lovely little trash bin. Okay, mug press is ready to go. Okay, so now we're ready to place our mug into the mug press very carefully. Actually, I am going to place the mug here. I'm going to pull it closer so we can have a better view of this. And I'm going to carefully place the mug in. You don't want to touch those elements because they're very hot. And make sure the handle is centered, and slowly close the lid. And now we wait with bated breath until this comes out. And while we're waiting, I would really like to know about a time when you made a decision in your life that was kind of scary, but in the end, it turned out it was very worth doing. In fact, it was one of the best things you did in your life. Let me know in the comments section about those encounters you've had in life. One of the first things that I did that I can think of where it was really a terrifying thing for me. This happened years and years ago when I was in college. I took a class to get certified as a PADI certified scuba diver. And I went through the class, went through the certification, survived, got the certification, and quickly realized how expensive diving equipment is, and just generally going for a dive is a lot of money. And I was a poor college student. At the same time, it was very fortuitous for me, but over in Camden, the New Jersey State Aquarium had just opened, and at the time they had built this aquarium with one of the world's largest open ocean tanks in an aquarium setting, and they developed an entire program for volunteer scuba divers to go in, routinely jump into the tank, go swim around in the tank, do tank maintenance while they're in there, inspect the health of the marine inhabitants in the tank, and also to perform live shows for the audience in the amphitheater right outside the main tank. It was just very fortuitous for me because I just certified as a scuba diver and this opportunity opened, so I jumped at it. And I applied, I took their test, I did their pool skills test, I survived the interview, and I was selected as part of their dive team. And I remember the night before my first dive, I watched Jaws. Not the best move in my life. And when I went to the aquarium and we were suiting up, and I was looking down over the tank and seeing all the fish swim by, we did have about a dozen shark in that tank. And I remember jumping in and being so frightened. And I was really frightened of the sharks because I was just imbued with all the stereotypes of what sharks are and what they do, that I didn't have a good grasp of knowledge of shark behavior. And I just remember coming out of that tank and just being so terrified. Like, I can't do this again. I can't jump into this tank. What am I doing? I am swimming with sharks. Who does this? It was really the second dive that was the most terrifying for me. The first dive was, I was jumping into the unknown. The second dive, I knew what I was jumping into, and I knew it scared me. And it took everything I could, every ounce of courage in me to suit up again and jump in that water. And I did. And I'm so grateful for that opportunity. Opened up my worldview to the marine environment and how precious it is, and of the crucial role that sharks do play in it. And no, they don't attack on sight. They're very intelligent hunters, and you learn to respect them and their role in keeping a healthy marine environment globally. It turned out to be such an enriching opportunity for me. And I just had to push through that little bit of wall of fear, and it just helped me grow as a person. So that is one of my life choices that really worked out well for me, and I'm glad I did it. Oh, perfect timing. Our mug is done. So let's take a look. Okay. Yes, I heard you the first time, Cricut. Okay. Flip open the link. Okay. Let's get this out. Okay. The quicker I do it, the better it is. Okay, this is very hot, and I'm going to just put it behind here on the heat, and we're just going to let it sit there. And we're going to wait. We're going to wait about 15 minutes. Now would be a good time for you to go get a cup of coffee, go get your drink of the month, and relax a bit, and then come back here in about 15 minutes and we'll do the great big unveiling. Okay, I think the mug is pretty much cool now. So let's do the great reveal. No worries here, folks. Oh boy. Philadelphia. Flying on our little plane to Boise. Actually, it worked. I'm so happy. It's so cute. It's very sentimental and touching for me to see this. Represent my two homes represented on this mug. And as we've shown before with those mugs that I got from Madrid and from my nephew, this will last for decades. I love that idea. Well, this just goes to show you really can make any kind of design you want with the pens. It really frees up your creativity using the blank design for the Cricut Mug Press. And you can really create something sentimental and something you're definitely going to hold on to for the years to come. And that will hold up as well. Thank you so much for joining me today.
That is the drum. I thought you were going to be doing all kinds of preparation. But you're not.
Well, we are organized for preparation.
This is how it happens. They come out of nowhere when you're least expecting it, just like the Jedi, right? You're right here. Well, you seem to be the one that's doing all the talking today.
Yes, I am.
Okay, because you have that funny-looking ability saying of it, which is actually your sound cable, correct?
Yes, actually, it's one giant extension cord, yes.
Yeah, okay. And would you mind introducing yourself and your buddy here and tell us, A, what you do in civilian life when you're not here, and maybe a little bit about what your duties are here at the aquarium.
Okay, well, my name is Tanya, and I'm a volunteer diver here at the aquarium. And diving with me today is Rich, another volunteer diver. In civilian life, outside of the aquarium, I work as a lab tech in a clinical lab.
Okay, what do you do here besides this show? What else do you do?
Well, I supervise while Rich. Well, the tank is like a giant aquarium, so the gravel needs to be vacuumed, the walls need to be scrubbed free of algae. We also feed the fish here, and in addition to that, we are the eyes for the husbandry staff. When we dive into this tank, we take a look around at all the different fishes and see if any of them are sick or hurt, and we report that back to the husbandry staff.
I understand that unlike most people who clean for a living, you also do windows. Is this right?
Where did you hear that vicious rumor?
While we're here, why don't we show these people how thick this wonderful stuff is? Thank you, Tanya. I love that. Here you go. We're holding hands. How far apart are we from making contact? Everybody tell me? 8 inches? Decent guess. How far apart are we?
We are 12 inches apart.
Almost 13.
12 and 5/8.
12 and 5/8 inches. 12 and 5/8 inches. This was, until about a year ago, the largest piece of board acrylic in the world. And then Monterey Bay, the rats came a bigger, got a bigger one. So, there goes the sand, the little old sandbar back there. He was just, you should have felt the waves.
I'm used to it.
Yeah.
Rich and I are both wearing what's called Owyhee. And the regulator that he was showing you earlier is what a normal diver would wear. Going underwater.
Actually, she understand that there's even a game you play inside the water. Is that right?
Yes, we do. We do underwater basketball.
No, you don't mean that. Basketball.
Excuse me?
How do you do that, for heaven's sake? Okay. I'd like to see this. That looks more like a hat than a basketball. I you play basketball, that sort of thing. Here come the sea turtles. Green turtles in the lead.
This is our green sea turtle, the large one, and the larger one right here is our large one.
What happens if the loggerhead eats the cord? He just said, in your face, disgrace. So you gotta do something good now.
Remember, I had the ugly bit.
Some number of space. Okay.
Well, very tangled, isn't it?
Should we make the Hulk's claw? It's back to basket machine. We win. Congratulations. Congratulations. I think we're going to have to declare it a draw, however, because we really can't tell how talented she is because of the court. Okay, so very good. Let's see.
She's so funny. She's so funny.